Another Jennifer writes and wants to know how I was able, or if I was able, to undo the damage which I recognized when my middle child, Ricky Neal, called 911, and a United States McDonough County sheriff was in our basement, and that little guy, 4.5, 5 years old, had no fear of that sheriff that was standing in the basement. At least there wasn't any fear that I could recognize as fear. It was a huge aha moment for me. It said more about me and about what was going on in my home with my son than what it did about Ricky. It was at that moment that I thought, he does not fear authority. And I can't help but believe part of that is because of the way that I have been with him. So stern and really pretty rough with him in different ways. And my heart really took a hit that day. My soul took a hit, and I thought, things have got to change. So some of the things that I did, Jennifer, at that moment is, first, I acknowledged it. I acknowledged that, wow, my son seems to be tracking in a direction that I have got to stop this train, and I can stop the train. I have to do something about this. And it's interesting, kind of part of the question, almost kind of alludes to the fact that we can fix everything. And here's the thing, we can't fix everything. We can't undo everything. We can't put all the pieces back together again when we've messed them all up. And this is why I'm so adamant about God and being part of a relationship with Jesus Christ and our need for Him, because He is the only one that can take all the broken, screwed up, messed up pieces and the mess that we make of relationships and in our parenting, and can somehow fit it all together and bring good things about. And that is exactly what happened. I quit with my sarcasm. I was working on that already, but in my verbal tone with my children, but especially after that happened, I watched my words and the way that I spoke to my son. This sounds kind of crazy, but in our home at that same time, I really recognized that I had a child-centered home more than a marriage-centered home. Meaning that, here were the kids, and it seemed like, mom just kind of danced around the kids instead of it being Rick and I as a marriage, as a team, and we did our thing, and the children were part of that, but they weren't the end-all be-all. And that was a huge change for us. In fact, I set the kids down around that time, and I said, life as you know it is no more. And I set down the parameters. I said, you know what? I'm not your play buddy all the time. I know that's like shocking, and some of you are going to like pass out when you hear that. But it's like, it's not my job to entertain you all the time. I don't have to feel guilty because I send you outside and say, stay outside and play on all the stuff that you have out there and enjoy yourself. And just things like that, incrementally, that changed, that then alleviated a lot of stress that, I had put on myself as a result of making it all about them rather than more of an adult-centered, marriage-centered home. Especially for those of you who are single moms, single dads, working this all out. You don't have that marriage partner, but you can have an adult-centered home as opposed to a child-centered home. So that happened, and then I know this sounds cliche and trite, and I do not mean it, but I prayed and I asked God, change and make things new for him, and please do something amazing and miraculous despite how much I've messed up as a mom. And I can tell you, just 2 weeks ago, Rick and I were sitting in the living room, Ricky Neal and I, and we were talking about this very thing. And he said, Mom, he goes, I don't remember any of those things that you're talking about. I was talking to my son, who is a United States Marine, all right? So he kind of learned a thing or two about honoring and respecting authority. So listen, Jennifer, just exhale. Exhale and know that it is not your job to dot every I and cross every T. It's not your job to do a study and a parenting class and all those things to fix everything and get it all right. If you can exhale and know that you do what you can do, and you do what God directs you to do and what common sense and adult knowledge tells you to do. God is faithful and has a work going in your children, and He will complete it. That's what He promises in His Word. So that's what I would say to you, is that I did what I could do, and then I allowed God, like I allow God. Then I trusted God and believed that God would continue to make things right, and He has. And I believe that can be your story too.